together a podcast. Today we're going to be doing a discussion about accepting responsibility, and the lovely Brian is going to start us off with his interpretation. What does that mean to you?
Thanks, Georgia. Accepting responsibility was a big thing for me. It was a big hurdle I had to get over. I came around into recovery. I wasn't using. I was clean, but I was like a paper bag in the wind, I believe. What I needed to do was stop blaming people, places and things for decisions I'd made, really. I couldn't continue to use drugs for the rest of my life on the back of, well, I never went on holiday every year and this was shit, and that's not right. I made a lot of bad decisions, and facing up to them decisions I'd made helped me to further my recovery, to really start recovery, as opposed to just putting the drugs down. That's the first step, but it's not the last one. So yeah, accepting my part in things was a big thing that I had to do. It took me a while to figure it out, but I got there in the end, and as a result of that, my life's moving in the right direction, I think. Thank you.
It's all right to not do that.
Passing the pen.
So we're passing this pen around because some of us, like me included, like to talk and interrupt, stuff like that. But yeah, taking responsibility. I think the thing about that is when we're talking about like addiction and recovery. I was talking about this the other day actually. Like addiction, like the essence of addiction was based around instant gratification, and instant gratification is the essence of immaturity. So in order for me to progress in my own recovery, I needed to take responsibility, and that is a big part of maturing. Being an adult, I was like a child when I got clean, like not physically, like mentally and emotionally and spiritually. I was like a child, and I assumed that everyone else was gonna like do things for me, to be responsible for like all my life. Do you know what I mean? And then what happens with that is then you get really resentful when things don't, because you have all these expectations. You know what I mean? And I learned like a valuable lesson that like no one is gonna come and save me. Like people in recovery, like we care about each other's recovery and stuff like that. But ultimately, when the chips are down, no one really fucking is gonna come and save me. No one's gonna give me like the life that I desire for myself. You know what I mean? I have to plan it out, map it out, break it down into small, achievable like goals, and go and fucking get it. You know what I mean? And and in that process, like not cause any harms. You know what I mean? And that's like responsibility for me. I get myself to meetings, I always have done. I would happily give people a ride to a meeting, but like not go around chasing people, because that's another thing that's like really important. It's like I'm not responsible for anyone else's recovery. Do you know what I mean? And if I start to assume that I can get this guy to a meeting, or get this person, or chasing sponsees and stuff like that, you're taking away their willingness to be responsible for their own lives. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm growing up in recovery based on my responsibilities. There you go.
Thank you, Matty. I like this subject because it's quite close to my heart right now, accepting responsibility. Literally coming through a lapse period, and then listening to people judge, more importantly. Where I found accepting responsibility empowered me, being able to say, yeah, I'm at fault, yeah, it's my shit, yeah, bring it all on. However, I'm not blaming anybody else in the room. If you feel that you need to judge, then fire away, judge. But I'm letting you know that I'm responsible for what's happened. I'll continue being responsible for myself. And I actually, like you've just said, I actually don't need the support in order to get on with accepting responsibility, because it is an individual thing, isn't it? But like I say, for the empowerment for me, it was a case of, you can't really say nothing because I'm owning it. So for me, that's the way it was, is, and will be going forward. Is, yeah, I'll accept responsibility, and ultimately, I'll admit and I'll hold my hands up every time I've done something that may offend someone or whatever. It was never my intention to offend anyone, and I never woke up an alcoholic or decided to be one. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, responsibility. It's been a learning curve for me. I mean, obviously during my step work, it's one of the steps in it where you see yourself for your own actions and your own mistakes, I suppose, and it's still a learning curve for me, accepting responsibility, not just for my own actions, but releasing the responsibility of accepting actions that aren't mine, if you get me, as well, like situations and things that I've carried for years that wasn't mine to carry, that I had carried for all those years, and now I accept responsibility for my own actions. I find that easier to deal with, because it's like I can't live without taking responsibility for those actions now, because you get a conscience, don't you? When you get into recovery and stuff, and I did find it difficult at first, like being open with my sponsor and things like that, because I'm not used to having someone there for me, to like speak to and things like that, who's not going to judge me, and I find that the closer I become with my sponsor and stuff like that, and the more I learn about the programme and things like that, that it is easier to accept responsibility, and I find my head accepts responsibility possibly sometimes before my heart does, about certain situations and stuff, but yeah, I just think it is an ongoing process, and it is some things sometimes I have to stand back and look at situations and look at my part in things, which I don't mind doing today. It makes me feel a lot better to do that rather than go around with a black cloud over my head, like, I've not accepted responsibility for something, and today I know that I am responsible for my own recovery, and I accept responsibility for that, and I'll do anything I can to carry that on. So yeah, it is a big one.
Yeah, accepting responsibility. When I was using and when I was in active addiction, a lot of the things I did to cause harm crucified me, and I didn't want to do. But I accept today that I was very sick, and the best thing about, one of the biggest gifts in recovery today is looking in that mirror and saying, yeah, I did wrong, and making amends to my loved ones, that's been one of the best parts of my recovery, is accepting the harm, admitting the wrongs that I did, holding my hands up and genuinely being sorry from the heart. I'd say sorry to my mum every day when I was using. I'm sorry. And in the end, it was just like, it didn't mean nothing, because all I was interested in was getting money out of her. And today, she knows I'm genuinely sorry, and I'm making it up to her today and the rest of my family. And I'm making it up, I'm forgiving myself as well, because I did some horrible things when I was in active addiction that I'm disgusted with, but I have to ask God to forgive me for that, and I forgive myself today. Yeah, and I think once you have that acceptance around it, you can start moving forward with your recovery. If you beat yourself up on a daily basis of what you've done 2 years ago, you're just going to make yourself even more sick than we already are. And there's no need to do that today. But yeah, Richard.
I'm Richard. Taking responsibility for myself when I was discharged from hospital was the main thing, because I've been sectioned and discharged several times before, and it started all right. I was getting back home, I was having care work, social workers coming in, checking on me twice a day, and they stopped after a few weeks. And as they stopped, I stopped getting up in the morning, and if I had got nothing on, which was most of the time, I just lie in bed all day, entertaining myself, shall we say. And then I stopped it. Then I stopped even wanting to do that, so I was really bad. And I wasn't washing, I wasn't taking my medication, I wasn't answering the phone. And eventually, of course, my son got worried about me, the GP, so I sectioned again, and the whole cycle started again. Well, this time, I've been on section 3 for 6 months, and the section plus another 6 or 7 weeks as an informal patient, a voluntary patient. I thought, I'm not going to let that happen again. I'm going to get up every day, no matter what. So tomorrow, as we record this, the only thing I haven't got anything on till the chatty cafe at 12 o'clock. So I could lie in bed till about 11 if I wanted to. But I'm not going to. I'll still be up by 8 o'clock. I'll have shaved, showered, changed, had my breakfast, had my medication before about 8:30, 9 o'clock. And I'm ready for the day then. And that's the responsibility I've got now, to keep that up even when there's nobody checking on me, which they're not, because it's the first time I've lived by myself. I've always been sharing a house. When I was in the family, then I was sharing houses and flats, and then I was married at the age of 26. My wife's now in a nursing home, as you guys know. So I've got nobody checking on me. So it's down to my responsibility to just have that self-discipline. And so far it's worked, apart from the fact I give myself a lie-in on Sundays for an hour. I don't get up till 10 on a Sunday.
Thanks, Richard. Love that. Do you know what? I think everything's been pretty much covered, hasn't it? But yeah, responsibility, and it's like that. It's massive. That no one's coming to save you. You know. That was like years ago. I remember ringing my sponsor and saying like such a body's doing this, and like, what do I do? And she just like basically said like, she's your child. You know, I think there was someone in my family having a drink. I got in, and I was only a couple of weeks clean. I was like, but they're having a drink, and she was like, she's your child. Like, get your child and go. You know, it was like putting that responsibility onto others that they need to do things to suit me. Do you know what I mean? And it's like taking that personal responsibility, and it's also understanding that what is my responsibility. You know, what is my what's mine and what's not mine, you know, because I'm very good, mate, going, like, these are my responsibilities, and then I'm going to do that for them, 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 and then I'm dead. Do you know what I mean? I'm wiped, I'm resentful, and, you know, struggling to manage, balance life, when I just take care of what I need to take care of, and apply the program into my life to live according to a certain way of life. You know, I'm pretty peaceful and things like go pretty well. You know, I think routine plays a massive part in it, doesn't it? You know, like getting up in the morning, you know, doing what I need to do, you know, taking my little girl to nursery, getting her ready every morning, you know, and saying, getting myself to a meeting, doing what I need to do for my recovery, like taking responsibility for my life, you know. But I'm also very good at, I will sit and I'll go, that'll sort itself out, and I'll do absolutely nothing about it until weeks are down the line, and I'm like, well, actually I've got to do something to change that situation, you know. And sometimes, you know, just I can sit and do nothing. But yeah, I think that's it really.
Thanks, Shad. I don't know what to say now. Responsibilities. I'm just getting used to accepting responsibility, because I've always had more or less, like, my mum's always done like everything for me, and she like always takes over, but I've let her, do you know what I mean? So I mean, I accept responsibility for my recovery and that, but sometimes I struggle like with that as well, do you know what I mean? I struggle with just the basic things, like getting up in the morning and getting washed and getting dressed, and they're the things, the little things, what I struggle with the most. I'm just doing nice things and stuff for myself, because I'm not used to it. It's like, so I can do it for so long, but then I start going, like, it's not that I go back, but I go back to like I can't be arsed, I don't want to do it, but most of the time I do make myself, you know, go to meetings and come to these groups. Like I didn't want to come here this morning, but I know that it's good for me and I know that it helps me, but I'm just really struggling at the minute, to be honest. I'll leave it there.
Thanks, Brilliant. Yeah, we'll wrap it up there. Thanks for watching. Give us a like, share and subscribe.